Okay, so now I have to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now the screen is visible, right? Okay, welcome to our second class in research collaboration. You already know who I am, I hope so. So today we are going to cover our target is to cover three most important thing you need to know about the research. One is what is research, how to find a research gap, and where to start. I'm trying to keep it minimal, and I'm trying to give you slowly the information, because I know many of you will not going to go through all of the information, and what will happen, you will ended up with getting nothing from that class and the course. So I'm trying to give you all the stuff one step at a time. So what is research? This is actually a creative and systematic work. So in the research, you have some task like collecting, organizing, and analyzing the information for a particular topic or a particular issue. So this is how actually research. So basically the stuff is already in the system. So you will do the search again and again, and you will collect the information, you'll organize it, you'll analyze it, and finally it becomes a research. So this is something you need to know. So what are the criteria of a research? A research should be systematic. Why it is systematic? It will define a set of procedure and step to get the most accurate result. So this is happening again. Okay. I don't know why it's happening.
Yeah, make me co-host so that I can mute them.
Okay, I'm going to do that. Okay. Where is the co-host? Make co-host. Can you check that if you become the co-host, Ramesh? Did you get the co-host option, Ramesh?
Yeah, I'm the co-host now, so I can mute anybody if I
Okay.
want.
Okay, thank you. So the second stage is it should be organized, specific structure or method, and focus.
ভাই আপনি কি একটু আনমিউট করে নেন? Sorry.
Okay, so can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so it should be organized, and a specific structure should be remain and focused on very limited scope. It could be on a very large scale, but but when you are doing research for yourself or for a group of particular people, this should be always limited, and it should be very specific, and the research goal is always finding the answer. Your main goal should be that you find some answer which will be represent in your research, in your manuscript. By the way, somebody emailed me that what is manuscript. Manuscript is actually the other version of the research paper or the project paper, so we call it manuscript. So you can use it many different terms, and definitely there should be a question and central to research. If there is no question and there is no answer of the and no point of any research values, so you cannot claim that you did a research without a research question, and you cannot claim a research without a develop a finding the answer. It's not like that. It should be always a positive answer. It could be a negative answer, but still it's your findings, and it should be systematic, it should be organized. So what type of research you can expect? Usually most of the undergraduate students, you in Bangladesh or in many places they call it a thesis, but this is not actually thesis. We call it a project. and this is actually go through undergrad. If I give you the example, it's like house price prediction using linear regression. Not significant in most of the cases, because you can see tons of example in a Google and in many places. So in what happened, like you just get some hands-on practice on a project and you write a report, something, it could be like 10 to 15 or 20 page, 25 page, that's it. So this is actually project. Thesis, mostly in master's work, it should be a little bit more specific. How? Like this time you're also doing the house price prediction, but in Dhaka. Okay, so now this time your problem is specific, it's a little bit limited, using linear regression. So you are actually, we can call it a thesis. And still it could be even a project. It depends how your supervisor and how the whole systems or how your department or particular institute actually define your requirement. Those are the significant. And dissertation we mostly call for in PhD work, and if we define it, it will be different, like house price in prediction in Dhanmondi. So this time it's not Dhaka, it's a part of Dhaka, Dhanmondi. Based on the effect of social status, you are making it more limited using, okay, using, this time you're using novel. So you have the answer, maybe it could be machine learning approach, but so there is 1, 2, 3 particular different thing which actually make you totally different. So you can see that the topic is similar, but when it's going through one by one step, it becomes totally different, and the expectation and demand becomes totally different. Because the higher, when you are talking about higher study, then your research also demand higher quality. So in summary, the main goal is to narrow down the research objective and the question. So this is the main point you have to remember. So how you define the research object? I could be wrong, but this is how I want you to understand, so that you can go through when you write your journal paper or research paper for any point of view. There should be a research objective, that what you want to achieve. Suppose this is the example, effect of data scaling method in data analysis considering patient data. So your objective is to understand the data, how the data scale effect in data analysis. So this is your objective. But to fulfill this objective, you need to justify some research question. You have to come up with your own some research questions. So what are the research questions? So how you are going to justify this one? So you say, okay, what are the current data scaling technique are available? This is you want to address. What are the advantage of those technique? What are the limitation of the current technique? What are the future scope? And can I propose a new technique? It's more advanced. So throughout this research question, you fulfill your research objective. So you have to remember that when you do the research should have research objective and research question. Your research objective will be getting the end goal, and your research question will help you to achieve that end goal. So the research question you can set yourself. Here I have set some of the research question, like available current technique available, advantage of the technique, limitation of the technique, future scope, and what I can propose. This is in general, and you can 99.99% time you can use this approach in any domain. Suppose you are from medical field and you are want to analyze an effect of omeprazole in gastrointestinal in stomach for long time effect. So you can just change it. What are the current drug or omeprazole types of proton pump used in are available? So then you will give the answer. Okay, right now we have omeprazole, we have rabiprazole, we have esomeprazole. So those are your answer. You got it. What are the advantage of those technique? Okay. Omeprazole have some benefit, like it work very fast, but rabiprazole has benefit. It has less drug effect. Esomeprazole is the latest and more safer than omeprazole and rabiprazole. You answer this question also. What are the limitation? Long term using omeprazole can cause cancer, maybe. Rabiprazole long term use also do the same thing. Esomeprazole often not work very fast. So what are the future scope? Then you say, okay, this is where those are the problem that I want to. From your limitation, you can actually create a future scope, and then you started to work on, okay, I took 30 sample of the people. Those are the problem, and they tell that this is the problem. So now I want to address this problem. So I want to design a new drug based on the limitation. So if you can design a drug, then this is your agenda. Finally, you can say that, okay, you analyze overall stuff, and finally you get something from that output. So anyway, so if we okay, now the question is finding the research gap. So this is very important, that how you find the research gap. In research gap, you have to focus on those 3 steps: state description, bridging the gap, and factor remedies. So what does that mean? Like the current, in state description, you should have a current state and the future state. In bridging the gap, you should be gap identification, gap description, and factor and remedies, that factor responsible for the gap, and action and the proposal. So that's how you find the research gap. So let's see how you can find a research gap. Suppose your objective is to find out how what are the facilities of for what are the facility during the winter to cover up to protect human head and neck from the human particular body using different clothes. So you started searching in Google Scholar or Google or YouTube, you find some papers. So there is a systematic way which I'll show in the next class, but this is the overview what you want going through. Suppose you find some papers that based on you want to know that how currently people are addressing, or researchers are actually using the technique to overcome the winter using different clothes. So in paper A, in current state, you saw it solve a head problem. So suppose this is the product developed by paper A, and future state, this is the research gap. Okay, so so bridging the gap identification. So what you can find that it can't solve the problem, solve the neck problem. Okay, so I mean, if somebody use the head, he'll still suffer from the wind from the winter, the cold from the winter, and it will affect his neck. So this is how you find the gap, and you give the description in details, unable to cover the neck. So this is how you describe. So what is responsible from your judgment? Inappropriate design. Okay, so the remedies, you find it when you read the paper B, you can take it in here, like in paper B, solve this one. So it will come after all analysis, but when you read the paper B, then you can put it here, that okay, this is after I read the paper B, then I realize that paper B solved the problem, but initially you go through the paper 1. So then you look over paper B or some papers, any paper, and then you see that it can solve the neck problem. It is its current state. Okay, this is their product. Okay, but future state, there is some gap. What is the gap? Can't solve the head problem. So even if you use this product, it will not be helpful for our, it will not help in our head to protect our head. So now you are describing that unable to cover the head. And then again, you say inappropriate design or less clothes, you can say. And then your proposal is your contribution. Okay. So you find the gap. And now what you can do? Your state is both state and future. What you can do? Can solve both head and neck problem. So what you did? Method A proposed by paper A. Method B proposed by paper B. You just add them and you create C, which is this one. This is your contribution. This is your research. So you have to remember, when paper A proposed method A and solve a problem, this is still a research. This is, we call, it's also novel. It's a novel, no problem. When paper B propose method B and create this design, this is also problem, fixing a problem and have the answer. So this is also a research. And you just did what you did. You just combined method A and B, and you create method C, which also solve the problem. This is also research. So if a method of A and method B can be used to solve a problem of C, then this is definitely a research. So that's how you think about the research gap. So when you go through the research question, when you should go through the research, what's called, throughout the research paper, somebody asked me that what part should I read in paper to find the research gap. Okay, so even though I'm going to cover this one in details in next session, but here I'm going to short information. Every time when you find the paper, you will definitely look over 3 definition part. First part is in the abstract. Second, you will go to the conclusion, and third, you will look over in the discussion. Those are the 3 parts where you can get the answer based on your problem. In abstract, maybe you have the problem in your mind and you read the abstract. There is a lucky chance that you will get a question in your mind that, okay, they are saying this, but they didn't do this. So that's how you find a research gap. Second, that if you can find it in the research in the abstract, then you can read the conclusion. In 99.99% time, you can easily figure out the research gap from the conclusion, because most of the conclusion, when goes through the review process, the reviewer asks them that what if they don't mention that what is their future work, they usually mention in the conclusion that our future work should reapply or use this something. So whatever they didn't do it in the future work is also actually the limitation. For example, when you're reading the paper A, when you read the paper A and you see that in conclusion is telling that when you read in paper B, in paper A, when you're reading and you see that he's saying that in future work we have to develop a material like in neck cover. So then that is limitation. The paper B then maybe started thinking, okay, paper A, however, in paper A, they fixed the problem of the head issue, but they didn't fix the problem for the neck issue. So in this work, I want to address the neck issue. So then when you go in paper B, maybe he will say in the conclusion that in future work, we want to develop a design which can both solve the head and neck problem. That is your now the research finding. Then you'll say that, well, in paper A and paper B, none of them figured out how to fix the head and neck problem during the, how to protect the head and neck in the winter. So in my work, I want to develop a design which can be work both in head and neck. So those are the three part. And in discussion, mostly in the last part, before the conclusion, in the last part, most of the paper, in many cases, they say that among though we have some advantage, blah, 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 we have some limitation. So they usually explain the limitation. This is the most fastest way you can get your research gap from a particular paper. But there is many other factor. Choosing the appropriate paper, which I'll show you the later. Then you have to go. This is actually the initial screening. And when you find your, and this kind of screening is good when actually you are reading from the when you are actually reading a particular specific paper, then you want to work in a very small time. But when you're doing your dissertation or thesis work, then when you found some paper very intriguing and it's very related what you want to do something, then you have to read the whole paper, the introduction, the mathematical part, and those kind of stuff you have to read. So this is, you have to remember. Yeah, somebody asked me a question that can we get a sample manuscript so we can understand what you are expecting from us? Okay, I can give you a sample manuscript that what I can expect from you. Actually, there is a tons of stuff which you can actually get from any published peer review journal, but still I will give maybe my paper or some good paper to look into it. But you have to remember that the protocol is all similar, which you'll see in the later slide. But what I'm expecting, it will be changed based on the, I mean, the journal requirement. When you actually, the journal is, this is the other part, when the journal has some particular limitation. So anyway, so if we, okay, what happened, something, okay. So where to start? This is the where to start. So definitely identify your research interest. I already mentioned in the first class, the same thing happened. Everybody was talking about, I want to do the monkeypox, I want to do this one, I want to do this one. But you have to remember that you from this class, I hope you'll understand that you need to narrow down your research interest. You cannot solve all the problem. And as I say earlier, the narrow down your research interest. If I get it more clear, suppose somebody say that I want to work on how protein are affecting connected together, create a bond. This is a very large scale question. But when you say that I want to see the how protein get connected, the protein related to our hand, this is still a large. But when you say that I want to see how maybe the X part of the hand where P and Q protein react. So you are defining X part of your body, and you are defining exactly the protein P and Q, how they're actually reacting. So this is more specific. And third, start writing the draft. Okay. So what should be, as somebody asked me what I expect from you, those are the things. Like whenever you send something, it should be contain abstract, it should contain introduction, it should contain related work, it should contain methodology, it should contain the result, it should contain the discussion, it should contain the conclusion. You can't just write whatever you like and send as a whole thing. This is not the manuscript, and we are actually a large, we want to work as a large scale. Maybe none or not all of them will be in the same paper, but the most of the paper will be like maybe it will start from 5, 7, 10, 15, 20, whatever, based on the manuscript. If the manuscript is like very low quality, there I will not going to add too much author, but it depends on the contributor, depends on the people who are working. So there is so many factors, but manuscript without this kind of information will not be reviewed. Why? Because you are actually breaking the general protocol. Because if we review this and if we have to tell you several times that this you have to do this. So suppose I receive 40 manuscript and I have to go through 40 manuscript, I have to replay 40 of them. It's very tedious. So I hope you understand that when you write something, be patient, which is very important for a research, and you will learn slowly. If you can wait for a longer time, then why you can just give me 2 months so that you can go through the whole procedure and you can become a very expert in writing and doing all kind of stuff. Okay, I see there is some question.
Like, excuse me, brother. So I was like thinking, I mean, after collecting all of the questions, you take 5 or 6 minutes to answer all of this. If the question is not very relevant to your current slide.
Okay. 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 Then I'll answer all the question after the slide. Okay. So this is I'm just going to today show only one part. This is abstract. I'm not going to show all of them, that what I'm expecting from that one, because when I'll share this slide, I'll request you go through this process, because I'm pretty sure that most of them didn't follow what I'm telling. So and I can easily see that they didn't follow what I'm actually trying to say. And secondly, I make it more clear that the video will be in the YouTube, so no problem if someone can't attend for this particular class. But if someone thinking that the video will be in the YouTube, so it's okay, I can just go there and see that, trust me, you're not going to see that. What you're going to do, you're going to look over, you're going to watch some music video, or you're going to start watching in by speeding, or going to skipping stuff, and that way you are not going to get the full you'll not achieve the full performance. So unless you have a very specific problem, that's why you can't attend this class, then then that is different thing. But if you have this opportunity to attend this class, don't miss this class, because I have all the information, who are serious, who's not serious. People who don't attend the class, people who don't have any issue, suddenly just say, hey, I'm interested to work with you. I want to work with you. So do you really expect me, because you are not sincere, you are not showing any sincerity, but still are expecting me to that I want to spend my time just specifically with you? It's not going to happen, because there is 150 students which also expect. So I have to be very cautious, I have to be very specific, so that it should not become a digester that not everybody getting with empty hand. If I can get at least 5 of the manuscript where people follow my procedure and they are able to write a very good journal, and we are able to produce a 5 good quality journal, this is also my achievement. This is also the full success of the throughout this session. But if we just have to go through years and back and forth, and the output is 0, that's no point of view to do this. Okay, so today I'm going to show you only the abstract part, because this is one of the most important part. And when you send any manuscript to any journal, the editor actually highly focused on your abstract. Your abstract define what kind of paper you are. In 60 to 70% of the time, your paper get the desk rejection without even getting through the peer review process from the editor decision. So in future, when you start your abstract writing, you straightly follow this procedure. There is no rules that it should be one sentence, it could be two sentence, or it could be three sentence, but you must answer this question, and you should use this template so that it becomes one of the best abstract. And so what will be your first sentence? It should be, what is the current problem? So suppose I'm talking about the monkeypox. So my first sentence should be, monkeypox is one of the currently ongoing what is called ongoing pandemic, a global problem all over the world. Okay, just simple one sentence. Okay, what are the current technique? Suppose you are from image processing technique field. Okay, then you can maybe add one line that uh, uh, disease such as monkeypox, chickenpox can be identified more effectively using the advanced artificial intelligence technique such as deep learning, neural network, and transfer learning approach. Okay, you just done. What are the current limitation? However, you don't want to work with all of them. You're focusing transfer learning. Then you're talking about transfer learning, the transaction. However, the current transfer learning technique can't handle the mixed data. For example, if a data set contain both numerical, categorical, and image data, it can't handle using the current transfer learning technique. So then you are going through the second, what is your contribution? In this work, we proposed a hybrid transfer learning technique using this method. Done. What is your result? Our result, our preliminary computational result show that our model outperform existing technique by achieving 90% accuracy. It could be something that significantly effective, or depends, different domain. What is your research application? Our proposed method suggests that the method can be applied on any type of mixed data, and it can also solve, easily identify more efficiently the patient with symptom of monkeypox. Done. Your abstract is done. So whenever you write your abstract, you should follow this template very clearly. When I'm going to give you this slide, I mean, every class you'll slowly you'll learn something, but you have to remember that the abstract should be always this kind of structure. So the second part is that when you are talking about abstract, it will not be the same for all the journal. This is the other story. Why? Suppose you want to submit a paper in a Nature scientific report or any other journal. They'll tell you your abstract should not be more than 200 words. So if you follow this guideline, you'll see somehow your abstract will be between 200 words. So that's how you can actually be in a safe position. But however, in Elsevier, there is a many journal, they easily expect a lot of writing in the abstract, a lot of like 18-20 page or 17-13 page 2-column papers. So for that kind of, still you can go through this one. All you have to do, you have to just increase 1 or 2 line of the sentence, and then your manuscript becomes bigger. You're talking more about the current problem. Suppose, what is the current monkeypox? I say monkeypox is one of the global leading problem in 2022. Then if you're writing for Elsevier and you are thinking, okay, your manuscript is small, you need to make it larger for based on journal requirement, then you can add another 2 line. Maybe you can say within 2 months, more than 20,000 people have been affected all over the world, at least. So you just add another line. So that's how you can increase your what is called your abstract part. Anyway, so even though I was talking about abstract, why I'm talking about abstract, because abstract is the whole summary of your paper. Your whole story is going to tell through the abstract. So that's why I told you about abstract. And this when you have the story in your mind about your paper, it will help you to write down your paper when you're writing actually. But you should not start writing your abstract at the beginning. How you start writing in manuscript? Your manuscript writing should always start with your methodology. Always should start. Now you can ask me that, okay, what do you mean by it should start? In your methodology, I was talking in the whole slide about research question, research gap. Those part actually you can, it depends on the domain. It could be go through in the introduction, it can go through in methodology. But in methodology, in most of the time, you actually define that how we are actually want to do these things. So I'm keeping this separate because I want you to digest the abstract part, and I want you to go through this stuff so that you can you can get not should not get confused all of them together. But let's see main focus in the point. So when you write your manuscript, your first concentration will be the methodology. You will develop a methodology. You'll conduct the experiment. Either it could be simulation, it could be some chemical reaction, chemical test, whatever. Then you will start writing your result. You should start your result, and then you will discuss your result based on your outcome. And then you'll go to your introduction part. In the introduction, then you'll start to look over that, okay, whatever you have gathered so far. I'm talking about writing manuscript. I'm not talking about how you should do the research. Remember, your research should start with literature review. I mean, finding the papers and finding the gap, all those things. But when you're writing, you should follow this procedure, because it will help you to structure your whole stuff. So then you will write at the very end moment, you will write the, sorry, then you write the conclusion, and at last you'll write the abstract. So now you can maybe, you can ask me that, okay, why can I write the abstract at the beginning? Definitely, you can write the abstract in the beginning. I know people who has the whole concept of the paper in his mind. So he just start writing the abstract, introduction, conclusion, whatever he has the information, and he can just start from any sequences. But when you're writing as a novice, you should follow this one. You should start writing from methodology, and that, because you need, you need to break the ice. Because when you're writing a manuscript for the first time, second time, third time, it's not so easy. It's hard to. So methodology, you will have some components, so you can write. Then you have the result, just table, figure, whatever you can put there, and you can just describe them. That it's become you are getting hands on. You're making your hands dirty for the next step. Then you're talking about you have something, the result. Okay, and now I'm going to talk about what I found, what is not happening, blah blah. So that discussion. And then in the introduction, you can start writing whatever you got, or how you can going to articulate, which will be described in the next class. And then in the conclusion part, you'll write, and finally you'll write the abstract. But is this the end? This is not the end. You have to go through this cycle several times. Suppose you write down the abstract, then you'll go back to conclusion, and you'll see that whether your abstract and conclusion should match or not. If your abstract say one story and your conclusion say another story, then this is not something we are going to sell in a very good journal. Journal reject it. So the story will be same, but the message will be same, but you have to use it in a different context. But that doesn't mean that you are going to tell exactly whatever happened in abstract, the same thing in the conclusion, like same, not similar. You are going to tell your paper story in different context way in conclusion. But both abstract and conclusion should represent your paper in details, that what actually goes through. Again, from conclusion, go to the discussion. Your abstract and conclusion will throw you to the discussion. In the discussion, maybe in the last part, you will add some limitation, or maybe you'll add nothing. But when the reviewer are going to give you a very hard time in your paper, then the discussion is a very good place where you can actually write something to satisfy the reviewer, and also the introduction part, where actually suppose you write down your whole manuscript and suddenly your paper got reviewed and the reviewer was asking some crazy stuff from your paper. So it will be hard for you to throw in the methodology in the result. The best thing is in those three here, like in discussion or introduction or in conclusion, abstract, somehow you can throw this stuff, because you don't want to even if somebody hardly it will happen, like some reviewer say, okay, he's not happy with the methodology, this is not satisfactory, you have to do the new method. So this is totally will become your failure of your methodology. So how you're going to handle this? Discussion is their place. Maybe you'll say, well, we appreciate the reviewer concern, but however, the experiment was go through the whole procedure, blah blah blah. So it will be due to the limited resource or components, it will not be feasible to conduct the research from the beginning. However, the problem raised by the reviewer has been addressed in the discussion section as a limitation. So in the discussion, you will tell that, okay, one of our limitation of this paper is like we didn't use this technique, and so that's how you are just save your tons of time. So your discussion, introduction, conclusion, those will be changed over and over the time when you write down or when you actually go through what's called, through the submission to review process. So you have to remember this part also. um, I'm trying to keep the class in around an hour for every time. So that's why I didn't make that much slide. And I actually want everyone to use it more efficiently. I know many of you know that, but people who are writing grammarly.com, this is initially it's free, not initially, using your email ID, you can use this one. It will help you fix your minor grammatical mistake, and you can log in using your Gmail ID. There is a paid version is also available, which can so for that particular period, when you'll actually come to the USA for higher study and going through some good school, they will give you free access. If you have any education ID, the university will pay for you, so you can use the premium version. But if you are very interested about that, okay, I want to use the premier version of Grammarly, then what I would suggest that find some of your friends who want to share with you, and 3, 4, or 5 people together by the Grammarly and the premium version, and you can use it to fix your minor mistakes in grammar. But if this is not urgent, then I would suggest that use the normal version, which one you can access through the Gmail ID. Why I'm telling this, that use the non-premium version, because if you write down your manuscript and if you really want to publish with us, and we have the access, and when your manuscript is really in a good shape, then we'll take care of your grammatical problem or those kind of issues. So this is something you again, I'm not sure how many of you open the Google Scholar or ResearchGate profile or LinkedIn profile. I think one video was shared in the research community. Some of you ask me that I don't have any paper, so what's the point of opening the Google Scholar? No problem. When you have a paper, then Google Scholar will automatically update it, and so then it will be in your list. So but if you open your Google Scholar account, then you already reduce your workload. Slowly you are achieving different goal. And again, this is the repetition that please send us if you have something to publish or want to publish. I know this is repeated stuff, and people ask me to look over the manuscript. I'm going to give you the feedback, but as I told you that if your manuscript is ready to feedbackable, then you will get the feedback. Otherwise, it will not be feedbackable. Then you'll understand what is actually missing from throughout the class, and then you can go through and you can check back your manuscript by itself, that what you have written and what you need to write. So, and this part, again, from the beginning of the class, I told you that you should share the Facebook, this group, to the other people, so that they can also use this, what is called, they can also they can also use they can also know that what actually going on, and it could help them as well, the way you're actually getting the facility. So apart from this, let's see where I am. I want to show something, I guess. Let's see where it is. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so just give me 1 second. I want to see that where it is. I want to show you something.
কিছু কোয়েশ্চেন ছিল
হ্যাঁ
মেল
হ্যাঁ
থেকে।
হ্যাঁ, আমি ওইটা আমি দেখতেছি। আমি ওইটার আগে আমি একটু নিজে একটা জিনিস করে নিচ্ছি আর কি। গেল কই? Where is this one? Okay.